Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto. Hope you're having a great day. There is a lot to unpack. I mean, it's there. There was so much news this morning that I really had to sit back and determine what it was that I was going to report on today. But we're going to start with First Republic. First Republic, way back on March 13th, when we were having problems with Signature and Silicon Valley Bank, I told you about how David Sachs had said that First Republic could be next up. Well, here we are over a month later after a lot of other banks put money into them and they're having problems. Their stock got hammered yesterday and dropped over 49%. When we wake up, when the market wakes up today, I have no idea where it's going to be. I think they're scrambling for more money. We'll see what happens. It's not a pretty look so far from what I see. So that's going to weigh the markets. No matter what kind of good news that Microsoft had, all that good stuff. We'll get into something later. Binance.us. Remember yesterday I had told you that Binance.us had been trying to get Voyager. The deal was approved. However, different U.S. government agencies kept trying to put the kibosh on it, starting with the SEC, DOJ, CFTC, just not making it a good environment for the deal to happen. So finally, you know what? Binance.us said, okay, you win. We're done. We're going to pull out of this deal. And they specifically cited, the uncertainty around U.S. regulation, the rather hostile environment, basically being told by the SEC, you might have won in court, but if you do it, so yeah, there's a lot going on there. And they finally just said, skip it. We don't want it. That sends a crystal clear message, right, to other companies that might be interested in doing business in the United States. It's tough. It's tough. And you have to ask yourself, do you want to do it? To that end, I told you Coinbase is thinking about, moving offshore. Now I find out that Circle is thinking about leaving the United States. And that right there should be of no surprise, none. And the reason why is because, well, they're in bed together, right? Coinbase and BlackRock, own Circle. So it should be of no surprise that, everybody's scratching their head and thinking, if you're in this space, should you actually be here? So Brian Armstrong, hinted at it. Now Jeremy Allaire is hinting at it. This is not a small deal. This is not, a tiny thing you can just brush off, right? There's also a repurchase program, a reverse repurchase program that the Federal Reserve has, specifically the New York wow, my English today. The New York Fed has, and they've changed the rules a little bit. They've changed the criteria, basically making USDC ineligible to take part in that space. It is a very prized thing to be able to be involved in that. And it looks like they're going to be shut out. There's a lot that goes into that. So I'm pretty sure, Circle, USDC, they're thinking about, well, is there a way that we can get around this? Is there anything that we can do? That's a good question. That's a really good question. And I don't know. But being involved in that Federal Reserve program would have been the pinnacle for Circle to be allowed to take part in that space. I don't know. They're kind of taking it on the chin, and again, probably another factor that went into them contemplating maybe we just shouldn't be in the United States. Maybe that's no bueno. But let's get into something that's a little bit more bold. Kathy Wood's ARK Invest and 21 Shares have teamed up to file yet another request to have a Bitcoin spot ETF. This would be the third time. The first time came back in June 2021 where they got dissed. And last year, the latest one where they got told no was May 2022. I have to be totally honest with you. I think that, when you look at the SEC, they're being hit in so many different ways. Companies are really starting to fight back in different ways, making requests because Bitcoin spot ETFs exist in other parts of the world. Why not here? There are other kinds of ETFs involving crypto that are here. Why not a Bitcoin spot ETF? The responses have not been good, and I think sooner or later it's not going to bode well for SEC. I really think they're playing from their heels, when it comes to crypto, and sooner or later they're going to stumble. And it's just it's not a question for me of if, it's a question of when. And with all the uncertainty, I'm really starting to think about, my dog's going nuts. I'm really starting to think about, how do I invest in this kind of environment where the ground is really unsteady for these crypto companies, and just how do we move forward? How do we identify things that are going to do well? I have a certain amount of trust for companies that are doing business. I've had to broaden my perspective and go far deeper into doing my own research into companies that are around the world. And the reason why is because the world has changed. Here's an example how. So as you know, Microsoft stock took off because of their AI play with ChatGPT, as well as their play in the cloud space. Well, Google's responding and saying, hey, because, Amazon and Microsoft can't be the only players. Google's an infrastructure player too, and they're going after Web3 startups with their infrastructure play. And I sat there and I said to myself, as a technologist, I've been having a conversation with the CIO, chief information officer of a couple of firms. But there's one CIO, we sat down and we had a really long talk about it. And I said, technology infrastructure is changing. Where you thought you were going to have a hybrid model that only had your internal machines and a cloud service provider, that's gone and dusted. What you're really going to be looking at is your infrastructure being, some of your internal things, some things on AWS, some things on Google, some things on, Microsoft Azure. And then you're also going to start to think about the various APIs that you're tapping into across the internet. And you're going to have to look at that whole thing as your living, breathing infrastructure. And the reason why I say living and breathing is because there are certain things that you do not control. You do not control the infrastructure of Google, AWS, and Microsoft, right? You do not control the APIs that other organizations are putting out there for you to tap into their technologies for you to leverage. Hence, you have to be awake and aware of everything that's going on across that space. That said, Google offering a kind of dedicated space for Web3 startups is a very big deal. They got caught on their heels when it came to AI, and they've been playing, kind of from behind in the cloud space. And here you go. This is their way of getting into it. It's a pretty smart freaking way of getting into it. But I think that, CIOs are going to have to start to think about that kind of thing. So when I start to evaluate companies, everybody's kind of like, well, what's your playbook when you evaluate, a Web3 company? That's my playbook. I pay attention to the kind of technologies that they're leveraging, right? I pay attention to where they're hosted. I pay attention to the kinds of services and where those services are coming from, the dependability of, where they might be getting their data. All that kind of stuff is what I'm paying attention to, not just the business model that they're in. So these are all things that I pay attention to. And that's what I teach my kids, is these are the things that are going to affect their viability as a business as you move forward. Anyway, I digress. I've been sitting here, I've been looking over here because that's where the numbers are. And guess what? We should get into the numbers. So let me switch on over. Alrighty. And you can actually see, and I'm starting with this screen because it's a tough screen. As you know, almost every morning I have a problem getting this screen up. But that didn't sound right. Anyway, so you can see BTC is up, ETH is up. You can see XRP is up, Cardano is up, Solana is up. Why is Solana up? Solana's up also on the news that they've integrated ChatGPT. You can actually purchase NFTs using ChatGPT because they've integrated it in some kind of way. I don't care. Matic is up. Yesterday they were as low as 96 cents the last time I had looked, and now they're at $1.02. I want you to think about that. That's in less than 24 hours, you're up over 6%. Boom, just like that. When you look at these coins, or rather when I look at these coins, I see nothing but opportunity, right? I see nothing but opportunity, and I see pitfalls too. Not everything is rosy. Again, this is why I look at things certain ways. But I also noticed the fear and greed index is at 56. Yesterday and the day before was at 53. See how quickly we move back into greed, just over a little bit of good news. Let's take a look at TVL, total value locked. We went from 64 billion to 66 billion. That's almost a $2 billion move in total value locked. All right. I do pay attention to that, because the more total value lock goes up, the more confidence people are having in what's going on in this space. Again, there are things afoot that you don't know about yet. If you're in the industry, you kind of know. I belong to the Metaverse Standards Forum, and we hear about things. We just hear about things. It's public knowledge, but the public isn't listening or paying attention just yet. And there are some really, really, really positive things going on in the metaverse space. When I look at my chart, again, I told you yesterday, I'm paying attention to that 28, which I don't know why it says 29, but it's all right. I'm not going to waste my time trying to change it. Maybe tomorrow. But I told you how 28 was the number, and how that was serving as both a floor, a support, as well as a glass ceiling that you had to kind of break through. So yeah, a lot of people are saying, well, we could be going back up to 30. I'm just sitting here and I'm just saying to myself, I'm happy that we're above the 28. I'm glad that we didn't go any further closer to the 25 to 11, to that floor, or the 26,539. These are the things that I'm paying attention to and how the market is moving. But I can guarantee you, the pending implosion of First Republic is definitely playing a part in this. When you look at the list of everything that's going on, you say to yourself, in the past 24 hours, what kind of things have been moving? Well, Cardano moved, 7.33%. Bitcoin moved 6.11%. Polygon moved, I hate to say it, 6.66%, 6.67 rather. That just changed. But you can see what's moving faster than other coins and other projects, and pay attention to what's going on in that project, because you can tell what's going to come back faster versus other projects, so that's what I'm paying attention to. These are the things that I'm making purchases in. I told you yesterday when I saw the drop that I was going to be interested in this. Guess what? Well, here it is rising. That's a quick 6-7% in some places that I made money. If I was a trader, I'd be sitting here saying, where else could I make 6-7% on my money so quickly? I'm just saying, right? If you're looking at it in small numbers, if you invested $100, you say, well, you only got a $6 return. $6 is a hell of a lot more than you're getting from any bank that's out there. Even Apple's new savings program only gives you 4.15%, and that's over a period of time. This is in less than 24 hours. Sorry, I'm a little stuffy. So these are the things that we should be paying attention to see what's going on. And I'm just looking down the list to see, who's popped up a lot. Kronos popped up. You want to know why they popped up? Because they cut a bigger deal with Amazon. That was big news. So yeah, now think about Kronos. Kronos is at 35, number 35, and moving. These are the things that I really like. VeChain is up a little bit. Not a ton, but they're up over 5%. I told you, I have a 5% rule. My 5% rule is I don't pay attention to things that are moving, only 5% up or down. I pay attention to momentum, and I pay attention to moves that are above 5%. I also pay attention to moves that are taking them from the red to the green based on the numbers that I have, because that's a big swing. All right. A few weeks ago, we dropped from $1.51 for Polygon, for example, all the way down to 96 cents yesterday. And now we're back up a little bit. So you could have lost a lot of money, but you could be making even more on the way back up if you buy in. So That's how I'm playing the game. Anyway, I hope my research helps. I truly hope that you do your own research. I'm just trying to share mine. All right. Have a good one. It's Eddie J on crypto. Have a great day.